Abel, going into Nocturnal Animals, this is your second collaboration with Tom Ford, and indeed the second film that he's ever made. So you've been a constant strain throughout them. This is such a different film in story and in tone and in genre. So what was the thinking going into it musically?
Nocturnal Animals is incredibly complex. There are two complementary plots on two extremes. One is psychological drama, very internal. The other is a thriller and a real violent crime. And both of them work in conjunction. One explains the other, and the story within story, the one in the book, the crime is like a fairy tale. It is basically a fairy tale about crime and violence and cruelty, and this is an accusation, an example of the main character of Susan, and it's basically equaling the two types of crime, those that we can't really see, and there's no physical proof of this ever happening, and the other is the one that is easy for us to judge, and this is how Tom Ford explains the one that we cannot see. Musically, because those two really extreme genres are combined into one film, musically, this gave me a chance to do something very unusual, to actually switch genres within musical score. And so the psychological drama is scored like a thriller, like this, as if this were a Hitchcock movie. And on the other hand, the thriller is scored emotionally. It's like an internal story. It's we never try to enhance its aggressive character in most of the scenes where it gets really violent. We have no action music. You know, the most action there is are crickets right. in the sounds.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is amazing how much of the suspense in the movie is created without music. So those moments with the music, I think, really do highlight it. You know what I mean? Like it really gives it that extra kind of oomph because it's used so sparingly in those moments. Does that make sense?
Yes. The score is only used whenever it's absolutely necessary to give us more information, to tell us, look, you don't watch this scene only on the surface. It means a little more or much more than what it seems, and this was a great experience. For example, one of the most memorable scenes is when they find bodies of two victims, and the score is like a super emotional, intimate tune. It doesn't play to the extreme of the situation. It doesn't play the cruelty. It plays to the very poignant internal pain inside the character, but something really, really personal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, I mean, with these two different elements and indeed two different stories, connecting them musically so that it doesn't sound schizophrenic, or like a hodgepodge, was that difficult?
Uh, the whole movie is made this way. If you look at editing, how the scenes are connected to each other, how those it's two stories, but actually it's three different timelines, because the external story also has a backstory with when they were younger, before the first marriage. And when you look how the picture is connected, how it transitions fluently between the book and the reality and the flashback, uh, there's no distinction. It's all like one fluid stream of storytelling, and this also means something. Everything is uh, to to tell us, look, this is the same. Just because we don't see blood, it's not less painful. So working with music in this context uh, was was both within switching the genres, but also connecting, making those transitions even more invisible.
Right, right. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about working with Tom Ford. Like I said, this is your second film together. What is that collaboration like? Obviously, he's somebody who has a very strong vision of what he wants.
Of course, the first collaboration on A Single Man was in LA, and for Nocturnal Animals, this was actually something entirely different, because I'm based in Los Angeles, Tom is based in London, and at some point, Tom really wanted me to come to London and to work there, which turned out to be uh, which when I heard the idea, it was really terrifying for any composers. Uh, uh, a perspective of moving his safe space and his cave. It's almost unimaginable, and but we did it, and so eventually I wrote most of the score in London, and Tom was coming over almost every other day to discuss the direction. So it was really, really different than any other film.
Right. And for your first collaboration, you got your very first Golden Globe nomination, and then you've gotten another one for WE with Madonna. You've
Yeah.
also been nominated for 3 Primetime Emmys for your work on Penny Dreadful. Since we're an awards website, we always like to know what that kind of recognition means to you in your career.
Well, every it's you cannot really answer on one level, because it's both glamorous, and at times it's both really rewarding in terms of feeling appreciated. Uh, on the other hand, we don't do this for awards, and I think it's important to see them as what they are, and they are not an inherent element of the writing process, which means that an award in no way will make you write better music, right? It will perhaps give you more publicity, and but I think overall it's both very, very dangerous to to hope that something will change overnight, and at the same time as to go the other way, to be pessimistic and think that nothing really ever changes. It's both extremes, and I think a more stoic approach is really best.
Well, what does attract you to the projects that you take on? I mean, just the one we're talking about now is so different from the excuse me, other three that I just mentioned. What attracts you to the projects you take on?
I'm looking for films which let me speak, and which make this voice meaningful in some way. So if what is needed for a film is just a background music that you won't care about, it's not something that gives me enough engagement. I just need to be passionate about what I do, and I need to be excited about the film. So films like Nocturnal Animals, I think they're very rare, and not many directors have this kind of fluidity and in making a film with different arts on many levels, not just relying on dialogue or perhaps plot. It's much more than that. Tom Ford's films work on both the story level, then they have the aesthetic level, and everything is meaningful. You can make analysis of hairstyles the characters have, and they will mean something. I think what he does is much more visceral when we open ourselves to decoding all those elements. They're always they serve a certain purpose.
Absolutely. Well, Abel, thank you so much, and congratulations on the film.
Thank you very much, Jack. Exactly.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure talking with you.